One day, a nature lover once walked through the forest and discovered a strange thing. A dog is tied to a tree, but no one is around there. It was about 100 meters from the nearest footpath. Someone left the poor animal to its habitat. When a woman decided to untie a dog, something happened that she will never forget. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Emma, 29, loved the forest. She walked on it almost every day. She especially liked to wander in the most dense places. In the forest, she rarely met people. It was a large forest with unknown places. Friends of her often asked how safe it was going deep into the forest alone. What thing people can find there? Emma just laughed in response. Until one day, she discovered the incredible secret of this forest. That Saturday morning, Emma turned off the trail and went deeper path into the forest for about 2 kilometers, right in the center of the forest. There was no people around. The silence that reigned here was better than any music for Emma. Closing her eyes, she heard only the birds sing and enjoyed the feeling. After a short walk, Emma decided to return. And at that moment, a strange thing that made her open her eyes. There was a movement through the branches of the trees. At first, Emma thought it was some wild beast, and she was scared. She has never met wild animals during walks in the forest. But then curiosity overcame her, and she slowly, step by step, approached the mysterious object. She walked in the branches, a little to see better. Pushing back the last branch, she was stunned. A dog was tied to a tree on a leash. The golden retriever sat on a leash under a tree and looked around. He didn't bark, didn't whine, and generally looked calm, as if everything should be so. Emma looked around, but saw no one. She came closer to the dog, and the dog also noticed her. The dog got up to approach Emma, but the leash prevented him. "What are you doing here?" Emma asked the dog. "Where is your master?" She decided to pet the dog, and at that moment found another detail. On the dog's neck hung a medallion with a number. Maybe it's the master's phone number. She picked up the locket and examined it carefully. The dog was not afraid of her, and in general it seems, was in a good mood. He sat down next to Emma and wagged her tail merrily. Emma looked around again. Still no one. Then she turned the medallion upside down. There was the number 31. What does all this mean? It was clearly a domestic dog. But the fact that no one had been around for half an hour, which indicated that they had decided to abandon the dog. It was red in his eyes as well. But then why someone tie him with a leash to a tree, and even in the forest? Emma patted the dog gently again, and he got to his feet. And then Emma noticed that there was a bracelet with an inscription on one paw. It read, "Tenderine Dog Show is the most prestigious dog show in the world." Emma knew about this because she had read a newspaper article just yesterday. The final part of the exhibition was to take place this weekend in her city. But what does the finalist of such a prestigious competition do on a leash in the woods? There was clearly something wrong here. Emma was afraid to leave the dog lonely. There was only one way to find out the whole truth. Emma decided to untie the dog and go to the competition venue together. Emma and the dog walked through the forest for several hours and finally reached the car. Emma kept wondering how calm and obedient the dog was. He did literally everything she was asked to do, sometimes even anticipating a person's desires. Emma drove to the venue of the exhibition. Maybe someone there can explain what happened to this dog. Emma kept hoping it was just a misunderstanding. But soon she learns that everything is not so simple. Emma and the dog entered the large conference room. There was just an incredible mass of people here. Who would have thought that a dog show could gather such an audience? And suddenly the golden retriever began to pull Emma somewhere to the side. If before he obediently followed her, now he began to lead, and very persistently. Did he smell anything? The dog rushed somewhere, sniffing hard. And then, after some distance, Emma heard a loud scream. "Vaden, is that you?" Emma turned and saw a woman approaching them, all in tears. The dog jumped into her arms and they hugged. "Thank you very much," she said to Emma. "Where did you find my baby?" Emma told how she found Vaden in the forest. The master could not believe it. She added that she had already called the police, believing that the dog had been stolen. But suddenly Vaden barked loudly and ran somewhere. The dog rushed to the part of the hall where the contestants were training. There was a revival. The competition was to begin in half an hour. But the retriever was not interested in the public and other dogs. He clearly had some specific purpose. His mistress shouted for him to stop, but he seemed to be overwhelmed. He ran to a collie and then surprised everyone who saw it. Vaden pounced on the collie's owner. He fell to the floor, horror in his eyes. The owner of the dog and Emma rushed to his aid together, shouting, "Voo, voo, Vaden." He reluctantly opened his mouth, but remained standing nearby and still looked menacingly at the poor man. What happened between them? At that moment, the guards arrived, and then the police. Police received surveillance footage showing Collie's owner taking Vaden out on a leash early in the morning and then driving with him toward the forest. Vaden was considered a favorite of the exhibition. He has won 3 previous competitions. Collie came second every time. Therefore, the owner of the collie decided to take drastic measures to get rid of the competitor once and for all. He was arrested and handcuffed. Vaden had just at the beginning of the exhibition. And right in the middle of his speech, something unusual happened. Can you guess what was happened? Vaden was 31st in line. All the dogs were great guys. But when it was Vaden's turn, everyone immediately understood why he was considered the favorite. His performance was a head above the rest, a completely different class. At the end of his speech, the audience clapped while standing. In the end, the first prize went to him again. Vaden took the medal in his mouth, ran to Emma, and placed it in front of her. It was his gratitude for salvation. Emma raised the medal with eyes full of tears. She will never forget that moment. Like Vaden.